Just one province over, British Columbia is dealing with flooding, and officials have issued an evacuation order for residents living near the Chilcotin River in the central interior. Earlier this week, a landslide blocked the river, effectively creating a dam. And now there are concerns about flash flooding. For more on this, we're joined by CBC's Yasmin Ghania in Hope, BC. So Yasmin, what do we know about this blockage and the threat that it poses to nearby residents?
Yeah, Jacqueline, so we know that about a dozen homes have been ordered to evacuate so far, and we also know that one person, a camper, has been reported injured. Also, in nearby Lillooet, this is new, there's about 20 residents of a long-term care home, and as well as some patients of a hospital there that have been ordered to relocate as a precaution. The Chilcotin National Government has declared a local state of emergency because of this massive landslide. Officials warning that flash floods are, quote, imminent and that they could happen in under 48 hours. As you said earlier this week, a slide of soil and debris blocked the river at Farwell Canyon. That's about 285 kilometers north of Vancouver. And the dam created by this landslide is about 600 meters long and 30 meters deep. And there's two scenarios here. So the lake building behind the dam could either burst or it will top over the debris. There's warning that there could be flooding as far south as the mouth of the Fraser River, which is right here behind me. The BC River Forecast Center issuing a flood watch for the Chilcotin River upstream of the landslide, and it's also issued a flood watch for the Fraser River from where it meets the Chilcotin River downstream to Hope, where I am right now.
Yasmin, what has the government been doing to prepare for this possible breach?
So yesterday, Emergency Preparedness Minister Bowen Ma, she warned residents to stay away from the Fraser River. Here we have a long weekend, the BC Day long weekend. Usually people are out on the water, they're on boats, but she is saying no, stay away because there's potential that this poses significant risk. So if you were planning to be on a boat on the Fraser this weekend, she's saying also avoid the shoreline because the banks can become unstable if there is a sudden rush of water. So she's asking residents to specifically stay away from the banks of the Chilcotin River, from Hansville to the Fraser River and anywhere on or along the Fraser River from the Chilcotin River to Hope. Because if the dam were to break, it's possible that dozens more evacuation orders could be issued. So she's telling people to remain vigilant. There's also geotechnical assessments that are ongoing, and the province says that it is preparing flood barriers and sandbagging as a precaution.
Okay, we'll stay on this developing story, Yasmin. Thank you so much for the latest. That's Yasmin Ghania in Hope, BC. You're looking at a video shot yesterday by British Columbia MLA Nathan Cullen. It's a flyover of the Chilcotin River after a landslide Wednesday. As a result, there is now a risk of sudden potential flooding and debris flow. It prompted an emergency alert that remains in place, and communities along the Chilcotin River to the Fraser River and then along the Fraser River to Hope are at risk. Chilcotin First Nation is one of the communities that would be impacted potentially by flash flooding here. Chief Joe Alphonse joins us from Williams Lake, BC, to give us a sense of what this could mean for them. Chief, thank you so much for making time for us.
Leon, thank you. Thank you for doing the interview.
We appreciate your time when there's so much going on and some real uncertainty hanging over your region right now. Tell us about what sort of risk you're at right now, because I understand the landslide occurred south of Williams Lake, which is where you are. So the big concern would be the backing up of the river and that water potentially flooding the community?
Yeah, I don't think we're no threat of getting flooded out or anything. The slide happened and occurred at the location on the Chilcotin River, southwest of Williams Lake, place we call Negwintlet. And in my language, that means the slide area. So this is an area that's prone to slides. The last slide before this was 2004, and then 1964 were the other two slides that happened. So this one here is probably larger than anything our people would remember. So it's kind of escalated because the 2017 fires burnt all the trees and in the area. So there's no live trees along the riverbank, and we made a report after the 2017 fires and said that that's going to be an area of concern, and that's something that should be looked at and try to try to try to fix before anything major catastrophe happens. And here we are, nothing was done. Province didn't take that serious, so now here we are. We are in a situation where what we figured was going to happen happened, and I think the dam, the slide will create a dam-like effect, and it'll push the water back and kind of create a big, huge lake. That lake right now is probably about 10 kilometers long, and it'll keep growing, and it'll keep pushing on the debris. The sand, the soil in that area is very sandy, so once that water seeps through the debris, it will eventually punch a hole through that, and then we're going to have a big, huge flood type situation.
Okay, so
I don't think any homes, properties, or anything like that would be of great risk. I think but people have to take caution, and if they're going to travel down to the river and monitor and check, just be careful. And I tell people to use common sense, but I guess the real fear is that there's not a lot of common sense anymore. So that's about the biggest fear we have.
Well, yeah, I mean, important to get the word out about it here, Chief. So that's really interesting. So right now, the concern isn't necessarily about that water nearing you in the Williams Lake area, but it sounds like that the level of debris has been exacerbated by those dead trees. Is that right?
Yeah, there'll be a lot of dead trees floating downriver. There'll be a lot of debris. There's 2017 fires. We were dealing with the Plateau and the Hansville fires. Those two fires come, just yards from one another, and if they had connected, that would have been the largest fire in all of Canadian history. And none of these fires today would even come close to that comparison. So, we're still dealing with the aftermath of that stuff. So
you mentioned that this area is known for slides. So you've been here before, and yet it still hits, because I mean it's cutting off the river at a quite an important time when you think about what is usually traveling on that river, and I'm thinking of salmon.
Yeah, no, this is very, the biggest concern we have is not the slide, but it's the salmon run that's supposed to come up. The salmon run that was supposed to come up this summer was the first cycle from the year we had the Big Bar slide. The Big Bar slide, that year we barely got 100,000 fish to the spawning ground. So we were going to monitor what the returns were going to be this year. That was very concerning. The Chilcotin Lake run was, it has a lot of factors that work against it. It's the highest elevation spawning grounds in North America, and our Chilcotin Lake run, they actually spawn before the lake. Every other salmon run that happens, they travel through the lake and they spawn on the other side. And when their eggs come, when their little fry come out of the gravel in the spring, they generally drift back down to the lake to spend 1 year in the lake. Ours, when they come out of the gravel, they have to swim upstream. So that's a huge factor and stuff. And being the highest elevation lake and stuff like that, it has more factors working against it, and yet we've been able to advocate and really push to protect our salmon run and making it the last healthy sockeye run left on the Fraser River, and now that's in jeopardy because the Big Bar slide was the first hit, and now this slide is the second hit. So, are we going to get any fish back to the spawning grounds this year? That's the $1 million question. So
Okay.
that's a big concern. Our people are dependent on sockeye for subsistence purposes. Our people, they live well below the poverty line. A lot of our homes, if some of our homes reach over $50,000 a year in earnings, then they're considered well off. And then I hear people living in the city saying they're living below poverty line and they're making $100,000 a year.
Well,
Chief,
yeah.
we're able to do this because we depend on wild resources like sockeye and moose and stuff. So we asked Department of Fisheries and Oceans to show some leadership, and they've been absent in this whole equation.
Okay.
And we see other levels of government, CRD and stuff. They must have nothing to do. It seems as if they show up like this and they blow everything out of proportion when they don't really know what they're doing themselves.
Okay, Chief. Sorry to cut you off. We have to leave it there, but we hope for a smooth resolution of this situation, a smooth and safe, and hopefully that salmon run can pick up where things have left off here. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks a lot for your time. See you later. Bye.
That's Chief Joe Alphonse from Chilcotin First Nation, and he joined us from Williams Lake, BC.